I'd like to call to order the February 21, 2012 meeting of the Buncombe County Board of Commissioners. Join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Tonight we'll have Commissioner Bailey do our invocation.
Pray with me if you wish, please. Lord, we are humbled today to ask for protection for the men and women who serve our country, both at home and abroad. We all value our precious freedom. We are humbled to ask for strength and courage for all elected officials to make appropriate decisions for those that we all serve. We especially include this Board of Commissioners. We are humbled to ask for guidance and wisdom for all who teach throughout our nation, especially our public and private school faculty in this county. We're also humbled to enjoy the sheer beauty of our country, our state, our region, and especially the county that we live in. We are humbled, Lord, to ask your blessings on all in attendance at this meeting. Protect us all from harm as we leave and go our separate ways. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Bailey. In accordance with our Code of Ethics adopted by this board, it's the duty of every board member to avoid both actual and apparent conflicts of interest. Does any board member know of any known or possible conflict of interest with relation to any matter coming before our board today?
No.
Okay, that being none, we'll proceed. Vice Chair Stanley is not with us today. He is in Raleigh representing us with the State County Commission Association on the board. Is there a motion to follow the consent agenda with the exception of pulling the Kitchen Ready training program up?
So moved. Second.
It's been a motion by Commissioner Peterson, a second by Commissioner Jones. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of following the agenda as stated, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion carries 4-0. I would suggest we start off with the Kitchen Ready, if that's agreeable with folks. Go ahead and get that. And I think we have some representatives here. Would you gentlemen, Mark and Michelle, come up and tell us this is a request for approval of Economic Development, Green Opportunities, Kitchen Ready Training Program. Gentlemen, come on up. Tell us a little bit about the program, how we're going to, what it is, and what you're going to do with it.
The Go Kitchen Ready training program.
Maybe say who you are just for the record and,
yes.
and introduce yourselves to.
Good afternoon. I'm Mark Rosenstein. I am the project manager for the Go Kitchen Ready training program, which is a partnership between Green Opportunities, which is a 501c3 in Buncombe County, the Asheville City School, Asheville Buncombe Technical Community College, and the Asheville Independent Restaurant Association. We also have as strategic partners Goodwill Industries of Northwest North Carolina and Manna Food Bank, which we will become an agency, a Manna agency here this coming month. The project was initiated about a year and a half ago by Air and Michelle Boudouin, who's my partner in making all of this happen. At the beginning of the year, a memorandum of understanding was signed between the partners that I mentioned, with Asheville City Schools giving us the William Randolph kitchen to use as a training facility. The object of the first phase of the program is to train individuals specifically in the basic culinary skills and to place them in jobs in Buncombe County. We will expand that program next year to double the size of the classes that we're training, and are also undertaking some social enterprise businesses which will then support the training program through social businesses such as a catering business and a small restaurant operation, and there will also be a community feeding component to the training program using our students. So that's a basic overview of the program. Michelle, would you like to speak to your dream?
I have, well, thank you very much. I don't have a whole lot to add. Obviously, I came up with the idea many years ago. I was not going very far, and when Mark retired, I said, Mark, I need your help. And he jumped with both feet and done a great job. This is a fabulous project. We're looking at, training people who need direction, and our industry needs people who can manage a knife and know some culinary terms and, safe serve certified and all of that, and put them to work and hopefully put them back on the right track. So we appreciate your time, and we look forward to our first classes very soon.
And Michelle and Mark, who are the people you're targeting to be trained to pick up skills they can use to get a job and go to work after the end of it?
Our target audience are adults 18 years and older, motivated individuals that have barriers to employment, such as a lack of high school diploma, or they might be carrying a criminal record forward into their life, or are underemployed or unemployed. Generally, a lot of conditions of poverty that will affect these individuals. And I'm working through Green Opportunities, which is a 501c3 that has been in existence for a little over 3 years with a focus on green training. And we were able to match up their strategic plan and our strategic goals for this sort of training in the community. I might also point out that in our research and in development of this project, that our strategic goals match up very well with the strategic goals of the county in job development, economic development, and expansion of workforce development. These are key issues that I know that we're all facing, and this training directly relates to it. Also, I would mention that there are a number of programs like this in the United States as well as in North Carolina. We have just joined an association of 22 other training programs called Catalyst Kitchens that are sharing best practices for this sort of program, the culinary training, social enterprise, and community feeding. So we've just joined that association, which is based out of Seattle, Washington, but also includes a program here in North Carolina and Winston-Salem, the Triad Community Kitchens, which is housed out of the Second Harvest Food Bank in Winston-Salem.
So 2 of the top chefs in Asheville are going to take folks that have trouble with their employment backgrounds. You're going to go to Randolph School and use a facility that has already been paid for by the taxpayers and give them skills and training so they can go out and earn a wage, pay taxes, and get on with their life.
That is correct. Mr. Commissioner, the strategic partnership has saved probably close to $1.5 million to get this project off the ground. Originally, Manna Food Bank 5 years ago looked at doing this project, and they were working in conjunction with the Second Harvest Food Bank, and they thought they needed to build a new kitchen in a totally new facility, and they abandoned the project at that time because of the immense startup expense. But the fact that we have the city schools has given us the facility for a year for a test program. We did not have to create another 501c3. There's a 501c3 that's very effective at pulling this off. The whole project will come in probably for under $75,000. So we've saved $1,425,000 to get the program started.
What's AB Tech's role?
AB Tech will be hiring the instructor, and they will manage that individual. Now, they're doing this in 2 other programs similar to ours in Buncombe County. They're working with Craggy Prison and also at ABCCM at the Veterans Restoration Quarters in East Asheville. They've had a project there for 5 years that Eric Cox is the instructor there, and he's an employee of AB Tech. And I might point out that Eric's program in the last 5 years has placed 92% of his graduates into the workforce. He's only had 4 people that were not able to be employed, 3 of them because of extreme physical disabilities. So
And
really,
what's the length of the program?
it will be
the
12
instructional
weeks.
piece?
The instruction period will be 12 weeks. It's 24 hours a week. We'll be in the Randolph kitchen for 16 hours a week, and then 2 hours a day for 4 days a week, another 8 hours a week that'll include soft skill training, life skills training, conflict resolution, communication, financial management, and those sort of things, as well as the supportive education that we need for Serve Safe and kitchen math and recipe interpretation and that sort of thing. And I might mention one last piece to this project. It was at the initiative of the Asheville Independent Restaurant Association, 98 independent restaurants that came to Michelle and I and said, we want you to do this. So we have a group of employers that are willing and able to work with us on this. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Well, if someone is listening to this, Mark and Michelle, and they know someone who would benefit from this program, what are the steps that they should take to help them get enrolled in this program?
They can either contact me directly at Green Enterprises, and my email is mark@greenopportunities.org,
Okay.
or they can call 398-4168, or go on Green Opportunities website, which is greenopportunities.org, and we have our application there. Or they can also stop by the Reed Center on Livingston Street and pick up an application there.
Thank you.
We're aiming for a late March or early April startup. So we're getting very close to kicking this off.
Thank you, sir.
Well,
I'd move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Been a motion by Commissioner Bailey, a second by Commissioner Peterson. Is there any other discussion or comments? It's a wonderful program, and thank y'all for taking your time and your expertise to make this happen for folks that are down on their luck. Any other
Thank you.
comments?
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. We have approved $50,000 allocation for Kitchen Ready. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a Valley Child Care Center update. Ms. Thigpen.
Good afternoon, Chairman Gant, Commissioners. Really wanted just to tell you there's good news. There's good news happening all over this county every day for children in early care and education. But I wanted to talk specifically today about Valley and some of the things that are two things particularly that are going on out there. It's good news that families are working, parents are going to school, families are receiving services and support to meet their families' needs. That's all good news, and that's happening while their children are playing, their children are learning, their children are making new friends, their children are with their friends and in child care, early care, and education every day. I appreciate the time to tell you a little bit about some of our partnerships. You know, I've spoken before about sometimes I think we're just the partnership department. And the last time I was here, we were talking about ABYSA, and today we're talking about child care out at Valley, which is a cooperative with the Buncombe County Schools at the Buncombe County High School, where we work with teen moms, teen parents that have their children out there in school. It's a dropout prevention program. We're working with and serving the children while the moms, fathers, parents are in school. We're doing that every day in partnership because it's our partnerships that make us successful. Our partnership with the Buncombe County Schools goes back and continues to grow. And it's grown and grown for the last few years. The schools provide the space, and we provide the care. The students go to school, they graduate, or stay in school. One quick story about a partnership that just recently ended, or recently concluded, with the county, the planning department, physical facilities, and Greg Israel's crowd over there, and us was a repair job that happened on a flooding drainage problem that we had at community school. That's not good news that we had a problem. The good news is that the problem's solved. And the better part of that is all the good things that happened while that construction was going on. What I call unintended but wonderful outcomes that the children learned from. They got a chance to watch the workers. They got a chance to watch progress. They got a chance to learn about one of their favorite new pieces of equipment called a digger. So their digger piece is their favorite new piece of equipment, and they learned all that while something good was happening to the facility. I was told by someone that watching that construction and watching the workers worked with their diggers and machines, provided entertainment, education, and opportunities for all the children in that program. What a wonderful good news, and how thankful we are for the partnerships that helped make that happen. Also, our partnerships, in addition to dropout prevention with the Department of Social Services in abuse neglect prevention, is a wonderful cooperation that we've continued to see grow through the last couple years. And the second piece of really, really good news that I want to bring to you that we are so proud of is that after 10 years, we have attained 5-star licensing status. That has been a goal for our department. It's been a goal of our recently retired director with 29 years of service to the county, Becca Dion. I am so proud that she was able to see the construction project finish up and was proud to see that she was able to see us to the stars. We joined 48 other child care programs, early education programs in Buncombe County at that 5-star license, which is the highest license that the state provides. We're very proud of that, of Becca's staff, of our partnerships. It's good news, really good news. Every day something good's happening in child care for children in this county. We thank you for your support. We appreciate all of our partners that help us, that bring us here today, and thank you for taking time to hear our good news.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Any questions?
That's great. That's what it's all about.
All right. Thank you, Fran. Next up, we have a public hearing on the rezoning request of Kashka DeBrule Cawthorn. Request a R3 from an R2, and we have Debbie Trumpy here to tell us about that.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Kashka DeBrule Cawthorn has applied to rezone 2 parcels. One is tax lot pin 9666391698. That is 2.01 acres located at 266 Bee Ridge Road. The other is parcel pin number 9667303011. That one is 2.44 acres located at 218 Bee Ridge Road. And the request is to rezone those from R2 to R3 residential. Both lots front on Bee Ridge Road and are located near that intersection with Barger Road. The lot that is addressed as 266 Bee Ridge Road is developed with a 5-space mobile home park, and the other lot is undeveloped. Although the majority of the property surrounding the subject is zoned R2, there is R3 zoning across Bee Ridge Road and adjacent to the subject property, and there are single-wides and double-wide mobile homes in the neighborhood. Because there are mobile homes in the area and the R3 district is adjacent, the requested zoning would be consistent with surrounding uses and the land use plan update, which indicates that R3 is suitable for mobile homes. Additionally, rezoning this property to R3 would bring this existing mobile home park into compliance, and the Planning Department recommends approval of the rezoning. The Planning Board held a public hearing on this application January 9th this year. There were 4 speakers in favor of the rezoning and 15 speakers against. And the Planning Board, in a split vote of 4-3, recommended denial of the rezoning. Do you have any questions right now?
Any questions before we start our public hearing?
Thank you.
Okay. We will have a public hearing. We'll start in a few minutes. The rules are we will give everybody 3 minutes to speak. When you have a minute left, the light on the podium will turn yellow, and that means you have 60 seconds to finish up. We've gotten a lot of notes. Thank you, Ms. DeBrule, for sending papers to us. We've gotten many emails and a lot of interest in this, so thank you for that. The more information we have, the better decisions we can make. So, if that being said, let's go ahead and get started with the public hearing I'll declare us the public hearing in session beginning 4:50 p.m. So does anyone from the public wish to be heard on this request?
What about somebody representing 8 or more people?
Oh, okay. Yes, thank you, Commissioner Bailey. If you have 8 or more people, is it 8 or is it 10? 8. 8 or more people, you can delegate your time to one person, but the 8 can't speak. You delegate your time, and they could have 10 minutes. So if there's anybody that wishes to do that, you have to have 8 people to give the additional 7 minutes to you. Okay. Any speakers tonight? Yes, sir. And anybody else want to speak? Let's go ahead and have, maybe if you could be seated here. It looks like we have a lot of folks. Anybody else want to speak? If you could, why don't you just come up, Ms. Landis, and sit next to Mike here.
Mr. Chairman and Council, my name is Jack Sorrells. My wife and I, Louise, have been living on Rose Hill for 40-something years. My family bought that whole valley back in the 1850s. Well, it was probably a land grant at that time, but it's been in our family all these years. Louise and I have got the last 2 acres that was in the original Sorrells deeds. That represents a lot of time, and we're proud of our valley. We don't like, I don't know, I wouldn't say we didn't like newcomers, but we're Southerners too, you know, but we don't mind newcomers if they keep up with their property and keep it nice, and we try to do that. So we just don't think that we need any further problems more than what we've already got. So Louise and I, and we've got lots of folks here to speak tonight, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sorrells. Ms. Landis? And who wants to speak after Ms. Landis? You'll be next.
I am Reverend Lisa Landis, and I would like to know what this trailer park is proposed to be for. Is it for the homeless? Is it for the low to moderate income? Who is it really for? The last meeting that I was at in December, I was really appalled that these people who built their driveway with their hands, and all they asked for was a trailer for their grandchild and unborn great-grandchild, and you turn them down. You know, it's like what's good for one is good for another. And if this man is saying that his land is worth staying in the family, and the other families wasn't worth staying in the family, then I think that there's a contradiction going on and it needs to be discussed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Landis. Yes, sir. And who wants to speak after this gentleman? If you'll just come up and sit those seats to the left there, or to our left. Thank you. Go ahead, sir. Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman, Board of Commissioners, I'm Jesse Messer. Wife Shared is here with me today. We reside at 12 Country Mountain Road, Asheville. And I do not speak for the group. Each property owner here is capable of speaking for themselves. I'm sure of that. I am not, or we are not opposed to mobile homes. In fact, the property that we have now there, just off of Rose Hill Road, there was a mobile home there 33 years ago when we bought our property. It was well kept. The property owner has passed away. Son's in Florida, so basically it's been abandoned. So, if I wanted to sell my property today with that condition there, it'd be very difficult. Most people walk away. Again, we're not opposed to mobile homes where they're allowed by zoning. And a lot of our neighbors here will probably going to share more information with you and their feelings than I will. But the board at a meeting recently has just stated denied that request to change that zoning. They deemed it was inconsistent with Buncombe County Comprehensive Planning and Land Use. They said the change to R3 is not reasonable to adjacent neighbors. Change to R3 is not in public interest, just opposite what your planning board has just said, stood up here and recommended. Now, if either one of these board members or planning board members lived in our community, I bet their decision would have been different, because they don't want something, whether it be a mobile home park or mobile home or a hog pen or whatever next door, whether it be a decrease your property values. And these are fine folks. We've lived neighbors for years and years. And if I owned that property and I had a child that didn't have any place to live and wanted to put a mobile home on the property, I'd probably do the same thing they're doing. But I think your planning board made a bad decision when it brought this recommendation. And I was glad to see the board at the other meeting reverse that or vote against it. And so I'm asking you, the commissioners, to have a final say,
All right, sir.
to agree with your board and deny this zoning request.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Thank you, Mr. Messer. Yes, sir. And who wants to speak next? Why don't you- Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Andy Biggert. I live at 77 Dayspring Drive. It's located kind of, I guess that's southwest of the property that's in question, just off of Barger. Thank you for listening to these comments. I've lived in the area for 20 years, and it was a practice when we first moved to the area for landowners to purchase property because there was no zoning in the area. And that was the only way to be able to ensure, or at least have some control of what was going on. When the overall comprehensive plan was made, there were a much larger picture taken into account and allocations made from there. Did a little bit of homework and have been really impressed with the different statutes and what the goals are. Zoning is a bigger picture above individual needs. It is a way for communities to organize and provide resources, divide resources into allocations that are appropriate and beneficial to the greater good. Reading through the different R qualifications, R1, 2, and 3, R2 is specifically stated to provide buffer to R1 sites that will allow for that quality of living to occur. R3 is the next step down that is close to commercial, that allows higher density, greater number of people for the resources for that particular tract. Looking on page 3 of this note that you have, there's only one tract marked commercial on this whole plot, and that is the mobile home park. The R2 would not allow that to continue, and that goes to the R1 side. So my request is not to allow this R3 to be presented. You will hear that there's an R3 right next door. There is a gentleman here who can speak to that. The landowner owns 3/4 of the R3 zoned area, and he has it in preservation. He planted white pine trees to help buffer a generator plant. That's the kind of neighborhood we live in. It's awesome. If you get a chance to drive that area, I recommend it. It's gorgeous. The farmland is there. So to sum it all up, mobile homes aren't the issue. There is public sewer and water not more than a half mile away. And if this goes R3, then they could put 12 mobile homes on each site per acre. That's 5 acres. That's 45 mobile homes with water and septic. So it's not just today. It also goes into the future. This valley does not need that support. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Biggert. Yes, ma'am. Next.
My name is Katrina DeBroil Covan. I'm a sister, but I'm also live on the adjoining piece of property to the property that's being rezoned. And I'm in favor of the R3 zoning. If you stand in our driveway and look down our driveway, you have a Progress Energy substation and then 3 double wides down below that. Of course, there's a house across the road and then a house down the road, and then there's another mobile home. And there's also 2 mobile homes on our driveway, one that's ours and one that is my mother's. But we are in favor of that. My sister would like to live in our family unit like we do, and I'm very appreciative that we were able to do that, and I hope that she will also be able to. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Broll. Yes, sir. And who wants to speak after this gentleman? I'll tell you, let's do this. Everybody wants to speak. If you could kind of just meander over that way, and I'll kind of be looking on the other side of the podium, and we'll recognize who we can. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Bill Rupp. My home is on Day Spring Drive, less than a mile from the subject property. I'm a professional engineer licensed in North Carolina. I speak to support the Planning Board's recommendation that the subject property zoning not be changed. My concern relates to the health issues of water contamination and soil pollution. Most of the subject property is on a steep grade. It slopes downward to a draw that runs northeast along Rose Hill Road. Without public water or sewer services, I do not believe that this property can accommodate this increased population density without risk to the homes along this draw. Substantial area is needed for sanitary disposal of septic tank effluent, generally proportional to the number of bedrooms served. Furthermore, studies by various state and independent research centers have shown that nitrogen, phosphorus, and even coliform bacteria are mobile in the natural soil system and tend to move to lower elevations. That is why our current zoning, where public water and sewer services are not available, requires at least 1 acre of adequate sewage disposal. This subject property of less than 5 acres already has 5 residential structures. I believe the addition of more can seriously compromise our community health. Therefore, I strongly urge this board to keep the zoning at R2. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rupp. Yes, sir, you'll be next, and the lady next to you will be.
Mr. Chairman and fellow commissioners, my name is John Scroggs. My wife Jan and I have lived at 290 Bee Ridge Road for more than 14 years. Our community is a mix of mobile homes and wood frame structure homes. The community is primarily single-family homes, several of which are on large tracts of land. The mobile home park in question is the only mobile home park in the area. Excuse me. In my opinion, this proposed rezoning would be extremely inconsistent with the personality of the vast majority of our neighborhood. This rezoning would be detrimental to the surrounding property owners. The value of our property is likely to go down, as well as our quality of living, with increased traffic and excessive noise, which we are already dealing with originating from the mobile home park now. You, our Buncombe County Board of Commissioners, saw fit to protect landowners and residents with a comprehensive land use plan. I ask this board to deny the request to rezone this property to protect and preserve our neighborhood, keeping with the original zoning and intent of this land use plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scruggs. Yes, ma'am. Do you?
Good afternoon. I'm Louise Nolan, and I too live on Bee Ridge Road. And like Mr. Scroggs, the land that I live in has been in our family since the late 1800s. And I too am proud to live on Bee Ridge Road. And across the street from me, as the young lady mentioned, there are 3 double-wide trailers or mobile homes. But you have to bear in mind, those 3 trailers or double-wides sit on 9.5 acres that formerly was part of the Nolan clan's land. And like the other people have spoken, I do not think that our zoning should be changed from R2 to R3, because the only people who are going to financially profit from this is the families, the DeBroil family themselves. And I think at the present time, as the gentleman pointed out, with erosions of land, the flow of the incline that this hill is on, would be inappropriate. Furthermore, I too have a well and a septic system, and I feel like the small amount of land that they're wanting to develop is inadequate to support the number of residents that are there in addition to the additional traffic. I would have no problem whatsoever if this family chooses to put homes on there or make it 1 acre plots or however, but to try to put more houses on land or mobile homes on land that's already at an incline would be unadvisable, and it would be detrimental to not only the neighbors, but the soil erosion and the fertilizer and everything else that'll run off the property. Thank you so much, and I again request you deny this request for this application.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Yes, ma'am.
No.
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Yes, my name is Debbie DeBruhl. Thank you, Commissioners. I am Koshka's mother, and I do own the property on 2 sides of what she is looking at having rezoned. Most of ours is Horse Farm, where we're at. One of the particular lots that she is talking about, it has been perked. We have looked into it, and I've already got the approval to have a home put on it. What we're actually looking at doing is being able to have one of my other daughters put a double wide there to live in, so that she can be part of the family, part where the horses and part where, she can be part of our family unit. We do know that as R2 that she could put a home in there. She could also put multi-housing in there. We're not looking at that type. We'd really like to keep it to where she just can put a home that she will live in. We have checked into the price and the cost of what it would be to put a home, a modular versus a double wide. And even though the looks are very, very similar for modulars and double wide, the cost is significant. So we are hoping that you would approve this so that she can put her double wide there and be close to our family. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brule. Yes, sir.
My name is Monroe Cope. Speaking for my mother, Pauline Cope. She owns a property right across from the mobile home park. And we want you to deny the request from R2 to R3. And our opposition is a mobile home park. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cope. Anybody behind there? Yes, ma'am, in the purple.
My name is Charlotte Kassab, and I live at 356 Rose Hill Road. I have actually brought in a picture of our valley and a picture of the mobile home park versus the other houses in the area. It's just a poster for those of you that have not been able to come out there. Can I show this to you?
Yes, ma'am. Certainly.
Okay. I think it's worth it to see what we're actually looking at. A lot of talk has been made about how this area has lots of R3. These are the typical houses that are on Bee Ridge Road. Most of them have a couple acres of land at least. And if you drive or if you walk the area, you'll see they're very well kept. This trailer park here, down here at the bottom, is the only trailer park that's on Bee Ridge Road. It has a big dumpster in the front. Today it has overflowing garbage coming on the top of it. Okay. On the mic. All right, just wanted to show the photo. So on behalf of my husband, Stephen Turner, and I would recommend that the zoning change be denied. We bought in the area 7 years ago, and we bought in the area because it's so beautiful. It's an absolutely beautiful valley. We relied on the zoning R2. We wouldn't have bought there if it was an R3 area. Our house is deed restricted. We wanted a house that was deed restricted, so there would have to be a minimum amount of land per each home. And everybody I've talked to supports the DeBruhl's application to put a house. Everybody would like them to have a house and keep their family together. What we don't want to do is to change the mobile home from R2 to R3 to formalize that mobile home, which is really an eyesore in the neighborhood. And then we don't want to change the current R2 that they have where they can build a house to R3, because putting the R3 in there would open it up to later being vacation homes. It could be a hospital. It could be a lodge. There were a lot of other things. It could be kennels, a radio tower, club, mobile home park, vacation park. That's not what we bought in the area for, and it would really hurt all of our property values. We like having them as neighbors, and we'd like them to build a house, but build a house and not change the zoning, because we don't know who's going to own it after them, and we'd like to preserve the beauty of our valley. So we are against the zoning change.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir, in the front.
Excuse me. My name is Joe Belcher. I've spoke to each of you many times before regarding affordable housing in Buncombe County and regarding individual property owners' difficult decisions to provide homes for their children. This is not an issue where a person thinks, well, my home is better than yours. I'm sure all these people are good people. But it's a really difficult situation that's occurred when you have the R2 and R3 and they're asking for a big change. I understand the difficulty associated with going from an R2 to an R3. But you have an even bigger picture that you have to deal with. Rather than the big change that everybody's talking about and the fear that's associated with a particular mobile home park coming in, or what they think might happen down the road, you have a family that wants to provide for a child. And there should be a way to make a variance for that without changing an entire community and worrying everybody else to death. These people should be allowed to be able to put that home on their property. Whether you choose to build a small frame house, whether you choose to build a little brick house, whether you choose to buy a home that happens to be made in a production facility inside, and that's all they can afford. The way people keep their houses up depends on how they were raised, not the type of house they got. If there's a mess in an area, then they can be a mess on a site-built house. They can be a mess in a mobile home park. They can be a mess downtown. They can be a mess in the county. That doesn't have anything to do with the house that you choose. That has to do with the way you're raised. Doesn't have to do with where you live. I was born and raised in West Virginia. We have a liking to junk in the state of West Virginia. But there's a big difference between junk and trash. You can watch American Pickers if you want to find out the difference. But anyhow, these people need to be able to put, and I have no interest in these folks at all. We happen to run into each other today. Those of you know that I happen to have served in the manufactured housing industry for 33 years. Coming from a poor state where the house that I lived in, you could see the dirt through the floor. And having an opportunity to come to this county and bring a little 12 wide and set it in Wellington Mobile Home Park. If somebody across the street would have not liked that, then I would not have been able to impact the people that God has allowed me to do for the last 33 years. So you have to figure out an answer to the bigger picture. That is how to deal with those people in Buncombe County. And they need to be able to put a home on their house for their kids. We had a situation recently, and I'll do this in 8 seconds, where someone else was denied an opportunity to put a single wide in the county because of zoning, and they wanted to live in it to build a house. And the neighbor said no. We should be able to allow a variance for it.
Thank you, Mr. Belcher. Any other comments? Yes, sir, in the blue shirt and then green.
Chairman, my name is Charles Powell, and my wife and I live on Bee Ridge Road, and we've lived there for the past 40 or more years. Our property is located at 42 Jane Mountain Trail, and our property actually fronts on Bee Ridge Road and is located just across from the property which is seeking the rezoning. We bought 10 acres, and this is the 10 acres I'm talking about, which joins the property or along Bee Ridge Road, and planted white pines in it. We felt that the community would look much better if it was kept in the present state it is, rather than to develop it. So we put our resources together and stepped in and bought the land and then planted white pines on it. And we hope that it'll stay that way for quite some time, as long as we can afford it. We have no intention of developing the property at all. Therefore, I'm against the rezoning, and I question why, if somebody wants to build or somebody wants to place a mobile home on the property, that it has to be rezoned in the manner in which it is. Citizens in our community work very hard to get the zoning in place, and I question why that we have to go through this process so that the mobile homes can be put in place. Because I feel if you grant this today and other people come forth and ask for the same thing, it will only be fair that you grant them also similar situation. So therefore, I would like to go on the record as being against this rezoning.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Yes, ma'am. Any other speakers tonight? Yes, sir, if you will.
May I approach and offer a neighbor's letter?
Ms. Hughes.
That's from Jean and Norma McClendon. They are our immediate neighbors on Bee Ridge Road and couldn't be here this evening, but asked that I bring a letter with their opposition to the change. My name is Sharon Lewis, and I live at 211 Bee Ridge Road with my partner of almost 19 years, Sandy Howard. I stand before this microphone and all of you today with some fear and trepidation, because when I was here before testifying with all my other neighbors against this appeal to change the zoning, I was harassed and intimidated by a member of the DeBrule family, such that I had to take out a restraining order, which was made permanent last Thursday in district court. And I don't know what's going to happen to Sandy and I after I testify this evening, but I'm here to stand up for our rights, as most of our neighbors are doing. I want to say to the DeBrule family that I bear you no grudge. Furthermore, I welcome the sister who would like to live on the property to come and live on the property. I like the suggestions of my neighbors that perhaps they could build a very modest stick-built home or modular home, something that would allow us to maintain the R2 designation. I'm not going to try and repeat the wonderful comments that many of my neighbors have made this evening, except just to say this. I value diversity. I've served for 6 years on the Buncombe County Asheville Community Relations Council and fought for the civil rights of all of the citizens of this county, including those who have no voice. So I believe that with my body and soul and heart and mind. We picked our neighborhood because of its beauty, as has been said by many people, and because of its diversity. There are a number of trailers, both single-wide and double-wide, in our valley. And we're happy that they're there. There are also predominantly many beautiful homes that people have built over the years, single-family homes. And we are predominantly a single-family home neighborhood or valley. I feel that if you grant this request, whether it's the DeBrule family this year, next year, 10 years from now, or whomever may have the property after them, that you could permanently change, they could permanently change the personality, I think as someone characterized it, or nature of our beautiful valley. And it would become despoiled, and so I ask you to oppose it.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis.
Thank you.
White shirt.
My name is Sandy Saunders, and I live on Bee Ridge Road, and I was really not prepared to speak in public here, so just give me a minute, bear with me. I do feel for the family, for the daughter who wants to move in the area and that cannot afford it, to live in this area. I cannot afford to move from this area. I love the area. I spent over 50 years working so that I am able to live in this area. So I ask you to oppose the rezoning here, because, you know, you can work hard and you can build a home. You know, when I was 20, 30 years old, I couldn't afford things back then either. But I had to work hard, and eventually I was able to do it. And this was the area I wanted to live, and I just can't afford to move. So there are other options. One being, why can't the daughter move into one of the existing trailers that is there right now? That the family owns a park there. So that is another option that they may go with. Please oppose this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Saunders. Yes, ma'am. Any other speakers after this lady?
My name is Mary Mulig, and I live at 242 Bee Ridge Road, and I too am retired. When I came here almost 9 years ago, I spent almost 6 months looking for the final property that I was going to purchase and work on to make it my final home, and I found it on Bee Ridge Road. The trailer park was a concern of mine. I know that it can affect my property value, and that's just facts of life. It can affect my property value. So after researching and finding out that it was grandfathered in, I felt comfortable in purchasing the property, thinking that there weren't going to be any more trailers put in. At the last meeting, not only were they talking about the one trailer for the relative, that relative said she wanted an additional trailer for her boyfriend. So I see this as an ongoing trailer park development, and that's going to hurt my property value, and I don't want this rezoning to happen. We have had nothing but problems with the trailer park that's there now, with noise from motorcycles, trucks racing up and down the road, and almost all of us walk. We have children, we have pets that we walk, and these cars are constantly racing up and down the road, motorcycles. Buncombe County has been called in regards to the noise and the problems. So I don't see this getting any better if we add additional trailers. So I strongly hope that you oppose this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bewley. Any other comments tonight? If not, I will declare the public hearing closed at 5:22. Mr. Frew, as I see, our options are to a motion to approve the rezoning request, a motion to deny the rezoning request? Is that the
Yes, sir,
cleanest way to
Mr.
proceed?
Chairman. Staff had no idea how this board might view this application and make a determination, so I came with two choices, yes or no. So in the past, when there's been no controversy, we've presumed that it would probably be yes. But in this situation, if it's going to be yes, you have to have a consistency statement, find that it would be consistent for any reasons you feel necessary, and I can help you with that if need be, and that it would be reasonable in the public interest, and that you would support the change from R3 to R2 based on the proximity to other R2 in the area. If it's the pleasure of the board to deny the request, then likewise, you still need to have a consistency statement. And in your packet, you've seen and read, I'm sure, the planning board denial 4-3 vote, where they said that the redesignation would not be in the public interest, and that it should be denied on that basis. So you have to put forth and say whether or not it's consistent or not consistent either way. That's just a necessary mandated step by the statute.
All right. So is there a motion on this rezoning request?
Give me a minute. I move on the basis of finding this application inconsistent with our current land use plan. I do agree with Mr. Belcher in that there is a bigger picture that we need to address down the road, but in terms of this application that is before us tonight, I would move denial of this application.
I second that motion.
All right, there's been a motion to deny the application based on inconsistencies with our, we want to read.
That's fine, that it's inconsistent and it's not reasonable in the public interest, and I believe that's what you're saying. And just if that's the pleasure of the board upon a vote, just to further amend to say that you direct staff to write an order consistent with that, with the
Okay.
pleasure of the board.
That
I
good-
accept
good
that
friendly-
amendment by
friendly
our
amendment?
our
Certainly.
attorney.
All right. There's been a motion to deny by Commissioner Jones, a second by Commissioner Peterson. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion to deny for reasons stated, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, no. The application is denied by a 4-0 vote. Thank you. The next matter we have is, if people need to leave, we'll take just a 30-second break.
Good job.
Thanks. Tough one, though. I feel bad about it. I've got to come up with that tool to figure out what's reasonable.
Okay, if we could clear people that are through, we'll thank you for coming. Oh, I know. All right, our next order of business will be the Asheville-Buncombe Community Relation Council. Okay, folks, if you could keep it down. We still have a meeting going, and you can meet outside. Thank you for coming, and thank you for giving us information on that. Okay, next up we have the Asheville-Buncombe Community Relations Council, and we have some information on some reformation of that group. And let's see, we have Susan Nunez here, and Sarah, who's gonna talk for us? Sharon, Susan, Linda. We have very able
We're going to let Linda speak.
Linda McDaniel.
Let her speak.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, it's our pleasure to be here. I'm Linda McDaniel. We have two other board members here. Dr. McCallum, who is actually the spokesperson. However, he has the hiccups.
Yeah, a likely
speak this
story.
evening.
Likely
And
story.
Sharon Lewis. And with me is our new executive director, Sarah Nunez. We have been in transition for approximately 2 years now. Over the last year, Dr. Don Locke has served as our interim director and has taken us to a new level. We currently have 6 board members, and of that 6, 1 is city appointed, and 5 are old board members that were appointed by the Asheville-Buncombe Community Relations Council. We would like to ask that those 5 members be retained with a rotation off within the next 2 years. And the reason for that is for continuity until new board members are appointed, hopefully from Buncombe County Commissioners and Asheville City, as we've had in the past. Our new director is bilingual, and our plan is that she's going to take us to a new level. At this time, I'll ask her to come forth and introduce herself again and speak to Sarah.
Hi, I'm happy to be here tonight. Rarely do I speak without having some time to prepare a few things, a few words, but I'm excited to be here, excited to be in this new role and be part of the new vision for Asheville-Buncombe Community Relations Council. I look forward to working with all of you and county staff and the residents of Asheville and Buncombe County in this new position. So I don't know if you all have any questions for us or for the board or for myself.
Well, we certainly have a rich history. I think, have all of us served on the board at one time? I think Carol and I have, and I know it's been an active board. It's been a board we've been very proud of, and it's been very important in our community. The history is impressive, and they've done a lot. We're glad to have you here. We're glad to be part of it. You're in a big transition, and we want to help make the transition happen as best we can. So, would we need...
Let me say something about Sarah. I've known her for a number of years. She was on the campus of AB Tech as Western Carolina's representative to help students transfer from the community college to the university. And I'll just say one thing. If she does as good a job with the Community Relations Council as she has in the past in her role with Western Carolina and AB Tech, she's just going to be simply outstanding. So. Everybody look forward to working with her.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Love her personality.
They definitely hired well. So just one clarification question, because I think the continuity makes a lot of sense. You know, in general, I do think it's healthy for boards to, you serve 2 times and you move on, but I do think there are exceptions in an organization's life, and I think this is one of them. But you kind of know where I'm, so I guess it's what I would like to understand is that, so this continuation, is it for one more term, and how long are the terms, or is that the kind of framework at this point?
I believe they're asking.
Well, why don't you come up? Yeah, Linda, why don't y'all get you on mic here?
There are currently 2-year terms.
Okay.
However, we want to set up a rotation base so that we can rotate off as soon as some things are completed.
Sure.
And we have other board members in place.
Right. So the idea is the current ones would serve up to 2 years, and then, but if you found folks in place that were, and you got them trained up, that there might be some earlier rotation,
Right.
but that's the vision at this point.
That's correct.
Okay, that sounds really smart, so,
Yes.
yeah, I'm supportive of it. Do we need a motion or just a
Yeah.
head nod, or what do we need?
The clerk indicated that it might be appropriate to go with consensus on this, but in this situation, given that Commissioner Jones is correct, they're asking for a change in policy or some normal way of doing business, I don't think it hurt at all to have a motion to agree to the
Yeah, why don't we do
request.
a motion to follow the recommendations as you stated?
Yes, move approval of the request from
And
the.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Bailey. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Thank you, and we will work with you, and just let us know as you need appointments from us.
We need them now.
We mean later than today.
All right, thank you.
Get us some names, and we'll do our job. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. And nice to have you here. Okay,
Not today.
next we do have names for some appointments, and we'll start with Board of Health.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to make the following nominations for the Board of Health. Suzanne Malloy, who will represent the engineering status on the board. Dr. John Whitener, who serves on the board now and is the optometrist and serves the medical area on the board. And Linda Morgan, who serves on the board now and would like to be reappointed for a second term, and she is in the pharmacy slot. I serve with these people on the Board of Health, John and Linda, and they do a great job, and I was part of an interview for Suzanne, and I think she'll be a great addition. So I'd like to put those 3 names forth.
All right, there have been 3 nominations. Any further nominations? If not, all those in favor of Susan Malloy, Dr. John Whitener, and Linda Morgan as appointments to the Board of Health per Commissioner Peterson's motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? No. They are appointed. Crime Stoppers Board of Directors,
How
2.
about the Board of Equalization and Review?
Okay. Board of Equalization and Review, 5 vacancies.
I'd like to nominate James Edmonds, Jerome Jones, Brad Freeman, Karen Donatelli, Kendall Wright.
All right. Any other nominations to the Board of Equalization and Review? All those in favor of those individuals nominated by Commissioner Bailey, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. They are so appointed.
Chairman Gant, I'd like to nominate Michael Fisher for the Crime Stoppers Board of Directors.
Are there any other nominations? All those in favor of Commissioner Jones's nomination of Mr. Fisher to that board, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Mr. Fisher is appointed. There is another vacancy for the Crime Stoppers Board of Directors that we would love to appoint. Adult Care Community Advisory Committee, 3 vacancies.
I'd like to nominate Peggy Byer.
Are there any other nominations? All those in favor of Commissioner Peterson's nomination of Ms. Byer, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ms. Byer is appointed. Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee.
I'll nominate David Hinton.
Any other nominations for the Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee? All those in favor of Mr. Hinton, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee has 2 other vacancies, and the Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee has 6 other vacancies. So if there's any interest in either one of those, please see our clerk. We also have another, I think I mentioned another vacancy on the Crime Stoppers Board of Directors. We have 1 vacancy on the Montreat Board of Adjustment from the ETJ. Now, they have to live in Montreat or live in the ETJ area?
Of Montreat.
That's a pretty specialized area, but we could certainly get you a map if you live near Montreat. And likewise, the Montreat Planning and Zoning, there's 1 vacancy from their ETJ. And ETJ for is extraterritorial jurisdiction, which is a area outside the city limits where it's I guess it's kind of a no man's land in some ways, but it's basically where the city assumes some control over the growth and the development in those areas. Okay, announcements. The next regular meeting of this board will be March 20, beginning at 4:30. The March 6 meeting has been canceled. Members of this board will attend the Asheville Chamber meeting along with the Asheville City Council on February 23rd at 10:30 at the Asheville Chamber Building. Commission meetings can be seen on BCTV Charter Cable Channel 2, AT&T UVerse Channel 99, live on buncombecounty.org during the meetings, or online anytime at buncombecounty.org. The next order of business is our public comment. Our official business is concluded, and we will now have public comment. The time limit for the comment to the board is 3 minutes. If your time expires, you may leave any questions or comments along with your name, address, and phone number with the county manager, who will be to your right. Board members are not expected to comment on matters during public comment. Comments should be limited to subjects that are within the jurisdiction of this commission or pertain to matters upon which we may act. Any individual speaking during public comment shall address the entire board. Any polling of board members is inappropriate. Persons addressing the board are expected to observe the decorum of the chamber and be respectful of everyone in the room. Any person who willfully interprets, disturbs, or disrupts, willfully interrupts, disturbs, or disrupts the session will be asked to leave the meeting, and the board reserves the right to deny public address on any subject previously presented to this board. We'll take public comment now. Any public comments tonight? Yes, sir, Mr. Rice. Any other public comment, you can come up and sit in the front if anybody else has something.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My speech tonight is on public comment. I would like to see this board go back to the original public comment. And when I say that, I mean it ought to be part of your meeting. We're taxpayers. We're not somebody out of state. We're not somebody out of the United States. We are citizens of Buncombe County and voters and taxpayers. We ought to be treated as such. We're not just a number in the room or a person in the room. We are a taxpayer. When you read this speech you just read, Mr. Chairman, and the board has agreed that you read it, or they wouldn't be sitting there nodding their head. It makes us feel, personally, like we're not a part of our community. You're putting demands on us like we're some kind of criminal. I think we need to look at each other and evaluate that we're all just the same. We've heard things behind the desk, just like you've heard out in the audience. Yous have had to come to yourself as a board member and quit making slighty comments that we've heard at the board level. So this should be read at the beginning of the meeting for the board members as well as it is for the audience if you're going to treat us all the same. I've heard this so many times that I get tired of hearing it. I think you need to pull the public comment up and let public comment come in and then you read the ending of the meeting and let people see that the official meeting and the public comment is part of Buncombe County. We are citizens. We need to be respected as such. I think it's showing disrespect from this board as a whole to call the public commenters, if you want to call them that. I think it's very disrespectful the way that this board is putting public comment demands on the public people. Now, if we're going to have these demands put on us, then why don't you put it on the public hearing of people that's up here that when they make comments, and they have been comments directed at other people in the audience, and you never said a word about it. So it goes both ways. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Yes, sir. Milton?
I am Dr. Milton Bird, a resident of Buncombe County. I've lived in Buncombe County next month 16 years total in my near 30 years of living in the region. 14 years I lived in Fletcher. I stand here at this public input podium for some very specific reasons, and I've done it repeatedly. I want to read a paragraph here out of a book, A History of Colonial America, and the chapter referred to as Intellectual Life, and it refers to this: public meetings as educational agencies. Another important agency for broadening the minds of the people was the public meeting, which brought men of all classes together, our colonial ancestors, in the performance of their civic duties. Had to attend town meetings, legislative assemblies, public elections, musters, county courts, and vestry meetings. There was thus frequent occasion for bringing the poor and unlettered in contact with the rich and learned. In this way, there was afforded a fine opportunity for the mind of man to polish that of his fellow. One of the things I've had great concern since I've been coming in here as a citizen is the fact that people feel like you have not communicated to the point where they understood your decisions. One of the greatest challenges in your stewardship is in your communication to them at this public input, so that you polish the minds of your fellow men. You educators know this, and yet we've seen it long forgotten in governance. We need to reestablish that level of communication where we begin to understand, we the public, where you have the ability to educate us because you're in the position of being learned. Everybody's struggling with the economy now, so there's a lot more poor going on right there. The point is, we still have to learn and live together and make it work. It's not just surviving, it's thriving. And one more thing to let you know. I have filed for candidacy for chairman of Buncombe County Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Burke. Any other comments? Ms. Landis?
I am Reverend Lisa Landis, a spiritual teacher, a mystic. And if you believe and practice your ancient spiritual text, then you understand the times that we're in, revelation to reveal. The evidence has already been gathered on all of the corruption. We need to start looking at ourselves and our skeletons in our closet. The earth changes, that the science will prove. Out of tragedy, people are going to come together in love. That's what it's talking about in your Bibles. Your communications that will bring the unity in our community, not the destruction that greed and class warfare brings. Public access is so important to stop the oppression of the people. Ignoring is controllable. Ignorance is controllable. Knowledge is power. I guess it helps if I talk off the top of my head because I can't seem to follow words that I write. And it's like I've been coming here for a long time and talking to you who are supposed to serve the people, who are supposed to be public servants of the people. And instead it's like, you know, my First Amendment right is constantly being violated. It's like, out of $3 million that according to the city and the county receiving for video sales tax and PEG revenues, the people couldn't get $200,000 in order to stand up here and speak. It's like last year you guys canceled 2 months worth of meetings. And now you're continuing the trend, and I have to question, if this is our only public forum that we the people come and speak to you who are supposed to represent the people, I'm questioning why you are in office. I'm seriously questioning. You know, with URTV, that was my job. That was my business, and it was destroyed. And then I was targeted and falsely arrested with the Occupy movement. I had a job working Race Week that would have made me $1,000. That would have bought me a car, so I don't have to walk anymore. But I could not take that job because I had to be in court on Thursday. And I will prove that those were false charges. And that's just going to add up to, or add a total to the fiduciary responsibilities that are getting due to me by this county and this city. So I would suggest that you start listening to the people and allowing the people to communicate with each other because, you know, hey, crap's going to hit the fan pretty soon. And we have better things to do than to argue about what we're allowed to talk about. Okay? So, you know, thanks. I really appreciate it, even though I don't appreciate the censoring of my First Amendment and violating my First Amendment right.
Thank you, Ms. Landis. Any other public comment tonight?
Move adjournment.
Second.
Motion to adjourn, Commissioner Bailey. Second, Commissioner Peterson. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
You did a lovely job. It was very succinct. Hey, Ramon. Well, I mean, I wish I hadn't turned my computer off because, I mean, I think the maps tell the story. In terms of the way I read it is, and kind of going down there, driving around too, it really not as obvious as the spot zoning issues but it's not consistent with the R2. I mean, the picture is clear as
And that was
clear as
mine.
day.
I looked at it.
You're driving around there.
Yeah, you should go out there and
If I'm sitting here, I'm still
I mean,
up.
you should go out there and look at it. I mean, the issue, I mean, and I think Mr. Belcher has a really good point, though. I mean, I think that there are